Listen carefully, this is not an introduction, it's a warning. A warning that will fold back on itself by the end, because if you miss the first seconds, you will fall into the same trap most men fall into. A trap that was never named. A trap Plato understood over 2,000 years ago and never stated openly. I promise you this, before this ends, I will reveal something dangerous about women. Not because women are evil, but because they are far more powerful than you were ever told. Remember this sentence, because it will return to close the loop. A man who does not understand the nature of women is used without realizing it, and believes he is choosing while he is being led. This is not opinion, this is a warning. And you are a man, I won't flatter you. Plato did not hate women, and he did not worship them. He did something far more threatening. He understood hidden power. He understood that cities are not ruled by laws alone, but by what controls the desires of men. To him, woman was not a body, she was a mirror that exposes a man's weakness or his strength. And here is where the real problem begins. From childhood, you were taught that a woman is a prize, then a partner, then a dream. No one told you she is a test, a brutal test that very few men pass. Right now, you are either moving toward awareness or toward being used. There is no third path. Listen closely. Plato warned that the most dangerous human is the one who combines attraction with influence without wisdom. Ask yourself honestly, who is affected first? Men, always men. Why? Because the moment a man loses control over his desires, he loses control over his decisions. And here comes the dangerous promise. I made because what I will reveal later will shatter you if you still believe. Power is loud voices, muscles, or money. Real power lives somewhere else, somewhere you were never taught to look. Before we go further, if you are a man who wants to understand, instead of being sedated, subscribe now. Not as a favor to me, but because what comes next is not said anywhere else. That's a promise. Plato believed chaos begins when the unqualified rule, but he went deeper. He saw that chaos begins when a man is ruled by illusions about women. Because cities begin in homes, homes begin in relationships, and relationships begin with an invisible balance of power. A balance no one dares to name. Women are not as weak as you were told. Not angels either. They are adaptive, perceptive, patient. A man without awareness becomes a tool, working, chasing, proving, justifying, while believing he is in control. This is where the real danger lies. Plato never said, avoid women. He implied something far sharper. Approach with your mind, not your instinct. Instinct is blind, only the mind sees. But here is the problem. Most men believe they are rational while making the most important decisions of their lives, driven by something they never examined. Fear. Fear of loss. Fear of loneliness. Fear of not being enough. Women sense this fear before it is spoken. This is not an accusation, it is reality. Whoever understands another's psychology holds influence. This is an ancient Platonic law. Focus now, because this is a turning point. A strong man is not measured by his ability to control a woman, but by his ability not to need control. The man who needs control is weak. The man who does not is dangerous. This is real authority, silent, calm, unannounced. The kind that makes others adjust without a single word. If you're still listening, discomfort is setting in. Good. Truth doesn't soothe, it destabilizes. And before we continue, if you want the full revelation of the dangerous thing until the end, like and subscribe now. Not because I ask, but because walking forward without awareness is worse than stopping. Plato spoke of the soul in 3 parts: reason, spirit, and desire. Justice exists when reason rules. A woman in a man's life tests this hierarchy. If desire rules, he falls. If anger rules, he destroys. If reason rules, he becomes rare. And rare men are recalculated, not challenged. Not because they are arrogant, but because they are unpredictable, emotionally unavailable to manipulation, immune to emotional blackmail. And now we approach the dangerous threshold, because what comes next is not for men who want comfort. It is for men who want respect. Here is what no one told you. Women are not drawn to your weakness nor to your cruelty. They are drawn to clarity. The clarity that says, I know who I am. I know what I want. I know what I accept and what I do not. This clarity is rare. That is why it is power. That is why it is feared. That is why it is constantly mislabeled as coldness, ego, or arrogance. Plato would have smiled at how badly this truth has been distorted. Pay attention now, we are close to the reveal. But one last reminder in the middle of the road. Subscribe now if you are a man who refuses to be led from behind. Because the ending is not advice. It is a mirror, and men who hate mirrors leave early. Now the dangerous thing I promised. Women, consciously or unconsciously, respect the man who can lose them without collapsing. Not because he doesn't feel, but because he does not bargain with his identity. This ability is rare, and the man who has it rewrites the entire dynamic. Fear changes sides. Instead of the man fearing loss, the relationship fears losing him. This is not a game. It is a psychological consequence. Plato would tell you this: a man who cannot rule himself is not fit to rule his home. And a man who cannot rule his home is not free. Freedom here is not isolation or betrayal, it is freedom from need. Need is the invisible chain. Now the loop closes exactly as promised. A man who does not understand the nature of women is used without realizing it, and believes he is choosing while he is being led. But the man who understands himself first and women second neither dominates nor submits. He leads through presence, through decisiveness, through silence when needed and words only when necessary. That is the dangerous truth they don't want you to grasp, because an aware man cannot be bought, provoked, or pulled. If you made it this far, you are among the few. And now, if you want more of this uncompromising, unsedating truth, subscribe to the channel. What comes next is deeper, darker, and it will not be repeated.